not only has the game changed exponentially, but the players have changed. So the participants are not only smarter, but the technology's different, training's different. The house shows on the wrestling circuit have been cut down, by far. So the pounding on your body isn't what it used to be when I was on the road 200 days a year. The best way I can describe wrestling is that it's like a pro football player crossed with a rock star, right? So it takes the physicality, but you're also out all the time doing PR stuff, and you got to be with the public, and you're burning candle at both ends, and it's just tough, But I think that, and look at the business itself. Look at guys like Hogan, who could walk around the ring and look at the crowd and make a certain gesture and not even touch for 15 minutes and be highly entertaining.
Yeah.
These days, I don't think the guys have the ability to do that near as much as we did back in the day, and they supplement it with high-flying moves. So their repertoire is always exhausted every time they go out. So, they're doing some high technical shit. Like, I went to the top rope my second match, and my boss told me never do it again. And that was the best that ever happened to me, because it meant that I could stay on the ground the whole time. Right. So, and also at the end of the day, you look at longevity. You look at, guys who are busting their loads, trying to show everything in every match to make it to a certain level. Well, once they make it to that level, their bodies are going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
So it's a different entity. I don't want to, it's tough because, I'm an old man and, back in the day. But back in the day, dudes were tougher than shit. Jack Youngblood, one of my idols,
my guy, love Jack
World Football League, played in the freaking Super Bowl with a broken femur.
Yeah.
Right now, who's going to do that these days?
Yeah.
So it's not apples to apples anymore. As far as the longevity thing's concerned, I don't think guys are going to be playing like Clay Matthews 21 years anymore. Jackie Slater, Mike Ken, guys like that. I played with Mike Ken and Clay their 21st year, both of them on the same team. I don't think that's going to be able to be replicated just because, and also because of the landscape.
Yeah.
You guys can segue to Hollywood quicker than ever before.
Right. Yeah. 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 How about I play with Matt Slater, Jackie's son? Me and Matt's on the board of actually my foundation. So we got really tight. I love Matt. I love his dad too. That's pretty damn cool. Yeah. What a great family. And then you got to see some of that out in the beginning in LA, right? Because before you were a Falcon, you were a Ram.
Dude, my days in LA, I could tell you stories about things, that was when the Everett Jim Rome gimmick happened.
I remember we were just talking about that shit. Were we not just talking about that shit? You had to, yeah.
Remember the Henley story about the cheerleader and remember that one?
Well, we had Eric Dickerson on recently, and I did not expect Eric Dickerson to tell us all the stories, but Eric is wide open. So he gave us an hour of like LA Rams confidential stuff. I was like, damn, I'm back behind the velvet rope.
Okay, here's another one that he didn't tell you.
Yes.
Remember Bill Hawkins? Okay, Hawk played defensive end at the University of Miami, right?
Okay.
And extremely long story short, we're in a defensive line meeting. Terlink was our coach at the time, and he's got stories behind him that are terrific.
Yeah.
They're highly entertaining.
Uh-huh.
But let's just say that one of the assistants came in and they handed Terlink a package. Terlink looked at it, and he looked at Bill, and Bill had a bet with his sister that she wouldn't send him her placenta. So he gets it in a FedEx bucket. Terlink proceeds to hand it to the trainer. The trainer proceeds to take it out and bury it on the practice field. During practice, his dog is digging it up and eating. Okay.
Hey, that's some D-line room shit, though. That only happens in a D-line room. A D-line room is like a fucking preschool where people are just picking their boogers, and there's a kid over in the corner like taking a shit. He's got it in his hand. The teacher's like, what the fuck are we doing here? That's what the D-line room is like.
Imagine being in D-line meetings with Jumpy Gathers.
Yeah, I can't.
Jumpy's the most folklorish sumbitch I've ever seen and or heard of. And you can't find videos of him online. I've looked. I was with Chuck Smith a couple weeks ago down in Atlanta, the pass rushing school. I took my son down there, and we're talking about Jumpy, and he's got to be the most underrated defensive lineman in the history of the NFL. And
also another key fact of playing in the late 80s, early 90s is no social media, no camera phones, nothing. Absolutely. So, like, dudes were running wild. And you played in L.A., but then you played in Atlanta, and it sounded like that group was kind of wild.
Well, yeah, Eric Pegram used to sneak me out every night. I used to carry Deion's bags.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you some great stories about those are the Glanville days. Right, when we had James Brown practicing with us, and we had MC Hammer flying to San Fran with us.
Wait, James Brown came out. Would James Brown come out to practice?
What position is James Brown?
James Brown's dream was to run the ball in like a 7 drill, right? And so Scott Case is in obviously the defensive backfield, and Glanville is buddy right next to him, and he's talking to Case. And all of a sudden, James Brown gets the ball. He breaks the line of scrimmage. Nobody touches him. And Glanville walks up to Case and he says, "Hit him." And Case looks at him. He goes, "What, are you fucking crazy?" And Glanville goes, "Well, yeah, I'm crazy. So hit him." He says, "You don't hit him, I'm cutting you right now." So Case puts his helmet on, snaps it up, and takes a step. And Glanville grabbed him and said, "Man, I'm just kidding."
It was a test. Would you hit James Brown?
Unbelievable.
Hey, dude.
MC Hammer loses like 10, 20 grand every time we went out to the West Coast because it was a 4-hour flight to San Fran, and he and Deion would play Booray the whole way.
Wait, MC Hammer was on those flights?
Wow.
Man, they were just – Atlanta was a cool place to be in the early 90s, dude.
Yes, it was.
Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.